just certain words that set people off. This is what Jerry Seinfeld was complaining about last week when he said college audiences just want to use these words. That's racist. That's sexist. That's prejudice. They don't even know what they're talking about. An opinion echoed by Chris Rock, who said he stopped playing colleges because of their unwillingness to offend anybody. And Larry the Cable Guy concurs. He said, it really is a shame that nobody can handle comedy anymore. You know, when Chris Rock, Jerry Seinfeld, and Larry the Cable Guy say you have a stick up your ass, you don't have to wait for the x-rays to come back.
First news story. This is from NJ.com. About 25% of kids in New Jersey school district are ditching remote learning every day, superintendent says. Before the start of the coronavirus pandemic, between 91 and 92% of students were at their desk school on average. In Camden public schools, the attendance rates dropped to about 75% since the district has moved to all remote learning, and an alarming number of students are failing to log on to their virtual classes each day, the Camden superintendent said on this past Wednesday. Schools officials are tracking down parents, calling students, in some cases showing up at their houses to see why they are ditching remote learning, online learning, but it hasn't solved the attendance problem in Camden, which has not had an in-person class since the pandemic began back in last March. Statewide, 89 districts are currently holding all in-person classes, state education officials said this past Wednesday. Another 438 are using hybrid plan that combine in-person and online learning. 246 are all remote, like Camden. The numbers include public school districts, charter schools, private schools for students with disabilities. The totals do not include Catholic schools, religious institutions, or other private schools. About 60% of its students are considered economically disadvantaged, making Camden one of the lowest income school districts in the state. This is a quote from one of the superintendents. Some parents are a little bit hesitant because if it goes missing or broken, they don't want the financial obligation for having to replace it, and I understand that, and it breaks our hearts that we even have to have that conversation in the first place. This is in reference to kids having a lack of devices on hand. So that's that. The second one is relatively the same. I don't know if you guys want to just quickly chime in before I tie in the second story.
Tie it in, bro.
Tie it in. All right. So this one is from Zero Hedge. Minority students crushed by lockdowns. 600% increase in math failures. 500% increase in English failures. This is out in Montgomery County, Maryland. Since the county padlocked schools earlier this year and shifted to unreliable distance learning, there has been 500% increase in the number of Black junior high school students failing mathematics, 600 increase in Hispanic students failing. The percentage of Black elementary school students failing English increased more than 350%, and the percentage of Hispanic students failing increased more than 500%. These numbers were revealed during a county board education meeting on December 3rd. A local activist captured the screenshots of this disastrous test result. Some of the data was also reported in yesterday's Washington Post. Shutting down public school has done more harm to Black students than anything since the end of local school segregation in 1961. The Montgomery schools results are online. Reports elsewhere shows that minority students have suffered far more harm than shutdowns justified and curtail the spread of the coronavirus. This carnage was foreseeable. And consultant was hired. McKinsey and Company estimated that if a schools were entirely online until January of 2021, on average, white students would lose 6 months of learning. Hispanic students would lose 9 months of learning. Black students would lose 10 months of learning, and low-income students more than a year during that time schools building have been closed during the pandemic. And then, there's questions about, this conflict of parents wanting schools to be reopened and teacher unions down in this county in Maryland saying like, no, obviously the concerns are they're not adequately equipped to have in-person learning due to lack of resources to do what is necessary to have in-person learning. So Kelvin made an interesting point that I truly like, and it basically I was going to touch on, but I'll let Mr. Henry go ahead and start this off. His opinion.
Yeah, well, I think it really boils down to the parents. Smith, I don't really know what it's like in the high schools, but when we look at our numbers in the elementary schools, like the smaller numbers are all like first grade, second grade, and kindergarten, where the parents have to ensure that the kids are signing on. Mm-hmm. Like the upper grades, we got the higher numbers where it's just more like, the kids are signing on themselves. So I don't really think it's necessary. Like you do have a couple kids where it's just like, fuck it, I'm just not going to sign on. But the majority, from what we're seeing, it's just like, parents just not holding their end of the bargain. I think all this comes down to, I'll say this and then I'll pass it on. I think it really just comes down to parents not wanting to parent and want to pass it off to the schools to do so.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Cash, in this, and you was reading this, did they mention it all? Because you only talked about public schools. Is there drop off in charter schools, and is there drop off in private schools?
So in the Camden story in New Jersey, basically the story was really the focal point was Camden, but they did mention that the drop offs numbers did include public school districts, charter schools, and private schools. It did not include Catholic schools, religious institutions, or private schools.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with parents. One thing I wanted to go back to that
you borging out. Which one you wanted to go back to? The Montgomery County. Black Zeus. He didn't borged out.
I concur with Henry.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
On the aspect of parents have the major weight in all of that. So for instance, as a parent myself, and mind you, maybe I'm different, but before this corona thing happened, I saw how much technology was being used in schools. So I took the initiative this past Christmas. Instead of getting my kid a toy or a video game, I went and got him a Chromebook. I took that initiative because I'm like, all right, he's getting older, and this is where the direction that everything is moving into. So make sure he's prepared for it. I remember when I was a kid, my dad did the same thing. He saw that we were moving in the direction of technology, and he got me my first desktop computer before anybody in my neighborhood had a desktop computer. These are the things that parents have to do as parents to, watch over their child to oversee the direction where their child is headed. I do have an issue with that statistic that was given out about the difference between a white student, a Spanish student, and a Black student. I think that's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? A misleading presentation.
Oh, from the consulting firm?
Yes, because the whole thing is, it's only giving you a race factor. It's not giving you an economic factor, which is the biggest factor, is the fact of like, you must be in an economic position to provide your child with the instruments that they need, as well as any support that they need. So for instance, Kel will tell you that, with my son being home and doing, home studies, I have asked Kel for the name of a tutor to help support what he's doing. He's not failing, he's not falling behind, but I'm not going to I know that I'm not well qualified to be an educator. So I pull in, support to help me in the area that I need support for my child. And that is because I'm economically, capable of doing it. It has nothing to do with my skin color, because obviously I'm a Black man and my son is a Black child. So I think that's a false, or a misleading statement.
Yeah. Smith, you borged out. I know you was trying to make an interesting point. And
I switched.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, I switched over.
Okay.
How you know his point was gonna be interesting, huh?
Well, Smith always have interesting points. Usually when he asks me for further details, he's trying to create his analysis.
Yeah, I was trying to make my analysis, and I was actually analyzing how many people were buying PS5s and Xbox for their children who are.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't gonna say it. So I was thinking it, but I wasn't gonna say it.
That's where I was leaving off at, where we're putting the emphasis. I was looking at some things that look like waffle fries, some new Yeezy slides that everybody is trying to get that cost about $300, and they look very ridiculous. And it's just about our priorities of where we're focusing our monies and our energies. Yes, it is the parents' fault. It's not the school's fault. It's the parents' fault. Yeah, I understand that you might have a situation where you have 4 kids or 5 kids. It could be circumstantial, but it was a decision that you made at some point to have that many. Maybe you never thought that you would be in a situation where you had to be responsible for all your kids at one time. I don't know why you would think that, because these are your kids. These are your kids. You have them. So at to say I don't want to be responsible, like that you can't be responsible for a device that will educate your child. I'm not understanding. Yeah, the parents got to step up with that. Those numbers are real. We have students that have disappeared. I'm trying to figure out what the administration is doing to find these students who have just disappeared. They're on rosters, but they're not showing up. When I contact parents are telling me, well, they're 18. They know what to do. And I'm saying, yeah, they're still in your house. So what are you telling me that they're 18? Well, I can't wake them up because they're old enough to get up. They're responsible. And it's like, obviously they're not responsible. Obviously they're much like you. And that's okay. We're going to stop there. You know what?
Sim was about to get real personal.
I'm good, Cash.
He was about to get real personal. Like, yo,
like, you know what, Miss Jenkins? Your kids just, you know what? I'm gonna stop before I start.
That's that therapy kicking in. Smith was just like, you know what? Let me bring it together. Let me bring it back.
You know what? We need to get Smith a flamethrower, because that was fire.
Man, all of y'all, man, this is a unanimous consensus, bro. Like, I think honestly, as I was sharing this story with Kelvin, and shortly after I was talking to my wife about this, and we were just talking about how a lot of people like the idea of having kids, but don't necessarily know what it takes to really have kids. And like you said, Smith, a lot of these people don't realize, like, yo, yes, no one saw this pandemic coming, but at the end of the day, it's your child.
These are your kids.
It's your kids. And like you said, like, one of the things that always is mind-boggling to me is the fact that you can have kids on these high-end devices, and they got the high-end sneakers, and you, like you said, the PS5, and you looking like, yo, you got all of these things. Like, I'm not trying to hear that, there's hiccups in your ability to obtain these, things. But yeah.
With that, Cash, it comes with, I want to give my child the things I didn't have. And it's like a good education is not one of those things.
Oh, yeah. I guess these parents had Chromebooks going.
Yeah. But like, even like the free stuff, like even the story in which why kids are failing, like there's free online education like Khan Academy. There's so many free things on YouTube.
There is a lot of free, but you have to. And the parent still has to be involved and engaged. You can't just say go on YouTube.
Oh, understood.
And look at this. That's not going to happen.
And this is the issue in which a lot of people, as you pointed out, as Shu has always been pointing out, a lot of people have kids not really knowing what it really means to have kids. Like, yo, kids are a full responsibility.
Yeah, a parent told me the other night. She said in parent teacher conference, she said, I have such a level of respect for teachers now. that I never thought I would have. I did not understand what it really entailed. And as she said, these are my kids. And it's like, yeah, these are your kids.
Yeah.
I'm on the other end. I'm in the house with my own kids. I'm not, these are your kids. You have to be responsible. I told my students, I don't even like that thing that you said, 10 months. I told my students that they would have lost a year and a half when this shit is all said and done. I told them that back in like June. Like they would have lost a year and a half.
It was 10 months for this county. They this consulting firm that they hired to assess these kids' grades and stuff. They said in this particular county, the black kids in particular will lose like 10 months of learning.
Yeah, we'll lose like 10 months. Yeah, that's what they're saying. But they're not really looking at how much they're really losing, because those students are going to lose a lot more. The math is struggle, because we already look at it like this. It's a kind of like get ready to go into what we're talking about, the book, this behavioral thinking thing. Well, my son's not good at math because I wasn't good at math.
Bullshit.
What? We're never good at math?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, what are you talking about? Okay, you weren't good at math. It doesn't mean that your son can't be good at math, but you've already planted that seed, and now the son grows up saying this and doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah, see, when niggas say they ain't good at math or good whatever, I'm thinking like calculus. Nigga, you should be able to do multiplication and division, bro. You should be able to help your kids out.
Exactly,
Yeah,
like
math
4.
You should be able to do at least up to basic algebra.
Exactly, basic algebra. Yeah, pre-algebra, basic algebra. You should at least be able to do that, and some level of geometry. But it is what it is. But you know what? Based on
but like you said, Cash, like you said, parents that don't know how to do that, they do know how to read, and now these parents can go on the YouTube and the Khan Academy and teach themselves to teach their children. But that's parent though.
Yeah.
That's being a parent.
Yeah. Like
when your child is lacking, you have to build them up in that area. What's the problem? Don't understand. That's your child.
I hope this is a really eye-opening experiences for a lot of the younger people, realizing that the pitfalls, like for me, when I grew up in hardship, I realized, I am not making the same mistake. And look, my mom did the best that she can, but I told myself I ain't making the same mistake as my mom. And I hope a lot of these kids realize where they're in the position of procreating that, look, it's no joke. Like once you bring a child into this world, you got to take full responsibility, not the teacher, not somebody else, not, Mr. Smith, Mr. Henry, Schubert,
not TV.
Not TV, you.
Not TV.
Yeah. So that's that. Yeah, it's being that we have a long list of questions set up, and I think there's going to be a lot of opinions. I want to skip this one story and go straight into this book. The story was about there was a birth tourism ring that was busted in Long Island. Something light and funny,
Oh, yeah, with there was Indians or Pakistanis. I saw that, man.
Yeah. It was just like, wow. And then basically it goes into details like how there's just always been these
wait.
Cash, you can't do that, because once you say what it's about, now Smith wants to talk about it.
No.
Yeah, I was thinking it.
No, I want to say one thing. I just want to say
I was waiting for Kel to bring the wrap it up music.
Because check it out. I was talking to a coworker, and she was trying to figure out how so many Latinos were actually pregnant in high school. And then she did some inquiring and figured out that most of them is similar to that birth tourism thing. If they are pregnant over here, then, they get to keep the child as an American citizen. That's all.
Yeah. Cash be like, I don't want to talk about this last story. It was about how they give away a $3 million down the street.
I did.
But I'm skipping it.
See that? Yo, it was.
I'm skipping it, but I'm mentioning it.
They had like 100 and something people at $750, $7,500 a pop. They was killing them.
Yeah, it was like $10,000 a pop, man. But anyway, I will send the story for you guys to read it.
I'll be on it, Cash. I'll be following the news. All
right, man. All right, fellas. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with Smith's question. So being that it's a rarity that he'll contribute to other books, as Kelvin would say.
Smith, you give us 2 questions 2 weeks in a row, bro. We won't say this.
So, all right, here's Smith's question. Is emotional discomfort the same as trauma, or do the schools and media allow generations to see anything that makes them uncomfortable as trauma, or are they fragile to deal with? Smith?
Well,
I was actually trying to get back down to the question. My fault.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Is it the same emotional discomfort?
Yeah, is emotional discomfort the same as trauma?
I mean, when I think of trauma, I'm thinking like there's an event that causes you that negatively affects your life, and you're struggling to cope now. Like
keep in mind what these new psychologists are saying, though. That he referenced.
Let him talk, because I got some talking points. Let him.
Well, I don't care what these new psychologists say. They're just trying to get paid. But at the end of the day, like a traumatic event isn't the same thing as being discomfort. Like, if I'm on a train or a plane and we had heavy turbulence and we freaking crash and I survived, that's a traumatic event. But if I'm on a plane and I got to sit in the middle row next to two 400-pound niggas, that's uncomfortable. Right? That's a discomforted situation. It ain't the same. It ain't traumatic, though.
Yeah, well, they're starting to link the emotional discomfort with the trauma, though. They're saying that if somebody says something that you don't agree with, it could become emotional trauma because it makes you feel some kind of way. If you're reading the book, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and the book is talking about niggers because that's how they were talking in that antebellum era, right? The student feels offended and tries to get the book thrown out of the school and the teacher thrown out of the school because it has affected their emotional state, which has caused them to have a traumatic experience. So I'm asking again, is emotional discomfort the same as trauma? I had a traumatic experience and I was shot in the neck. Somebody telling me that I'm not good enough to be an educator is not going to hurt my fucking feelings. That's just me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you getting shot in the neck is traumatic. Somebody pulling out a gun and you saying, like, dang, that's a gun. My man got a gun. That might make you uncomfortable, but that ain't a traumatic experience.
Yeah. I didn't think so either. I was just asking that question because the book was starting to talk about putting emotional discomfort as part of trauma with the new psychology that Cash was just talking about. And I'm saying I don't see somebody who's emotional. My emotional discomfort should not be a traumatic experience. You can't link that to a rape, a car crash, like they said, losing a loved one, being in certain situations that are really traumatic to you. Being in this pandemic is more traumatic than somebody telling you to wear a mask. You understand what I'm saying? The emotional discomfort of somebody saying, well, I don't want to wear this because I just don't want to do it, is different than having a traumatic experience of being locked down in the house for several months for the people who are actually following those guidelines.
Or someone losing a loved one to COVID,
Or someone losing a loved one to COVID.
Yeah, so it's just like, yo, I don't know what's going on in Shubin. He's our psychologist on this board. I don't know what's going on in the psychology world of education, but the adoption of these terms, I'm scratching my head. I didn't know this was happening. You two got kids. I feel sorry. If someone who's contemplating kids, I'm nervous as all shit was happening. But yeah, man, I don't know, bro. Like, it's not the same. But I don't know if this is generational bias on our end. I have no clue.
Well, no, this is coming from the generation iGen. All right.
Yeah. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it's generational bias on being a millennial and you guys being a Gen X, a late millennial, and you guys being Gen X's. Are we looking at iGen as just, I don't know.
No,
is there new issue?
No. You're telling me if we are together, if the four of us are together, and one of us makes you feel emotional discomfort, that you're having a traumatic experience?
But I'm with you. I don't know, man. I don't know what's happening.
Like I want to get into the fragility of this. What they were talking about, being fragile, and being able to bounce from that. Like, you're saying that's the traumatic experience. Like, at the end of the day, you're saying because I hurt your fucking feelings. Let's talk about it. Because I hurt your feelings, you're going to have a traumatic experience. Because I did what was on the playground before, we used to call it what? Name calling?
Yeah. The term sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt. Yeah, that shit won't fly today.
Yeah, like what, you know what I mean? Because I said something regarding you, like they were talking about one of the cases where, the cancel culture, where you have the a guy coming to the campus to speak out, and the campus have made a safe space for students to go to, so they don't have to hear the speaker, where they have the choice to not go hear the speaker.
Yeah.
We're creating a safe space so Cash can go, because Cash doesn't want to hear this speaker and what this speaker has to say. But as opposed to Cash just not going at all and staying in his dorm room or going to play basketball or just not attending that event, we're going to make a safe space so you can go into the safe space.
Black Zeus, go ahead, chime in, brother.
I was wondering what was going on. I was like, is anybody else here? But here's the thing. So last night I was with a friend who is going through a breakup or whatever the case is. We were drinking, this, that, and the other. And then, she's like, Shub, I love you, And I was like, ditto. And she's like, oh. I'm like, what? She's like, don't say ditto. That's so disrespectful. I don't like when people say ditto when you say, it reminds me of that movie from Ghost where Patrick Swayze always said ditto when his girl said that, he loved this, that, and the other. I find that so disrespectful. And I'm like, okay, you can feel how you want to feel, but that's not going to change how I, speak to you.
What's the origin of ditto, real quick? I don't know the history of ditto. Is ditto's an offensive word?
No, it's not offensive. No. She feels offended by it. Her emotions are hurt by it. She doesn't like it. So, and I'm like, listen, if your argument is that I should change the way I speak because your feelings are hurt, guess what? My feelings feel some sort of way that you said I love you. My feelings are some sort of way because you said hello. How do we justify what's wrong or right? If we're just going by what your feelings are. All right. So, miss me with the bullshit, real talk. Just miss me with the bullshit. The whole thing is that this new culture of my feelings are valid. Yeah, to you. All right. That's it. At the end of the day, your feelings are valid. All right. I don't like that fact it's cold outside right now. I can't change the weather. I can put on a hoodie. I can adapt to my situation. My situation will not adapt to me. And the thing is, much like the author is saying, this new generation wants the road to be prepared for them instead of them preparing for the road, which is illogical. It's insane because at the end of the day, we're all individuals. We're going to prepare the same road 3,046 different ways. Are you insane? It's just like, it's bizarre as fuck. Even up to the point of no disrespect to those who identify as transgender, but it's like, look, if you look like a dude, you got a penis. That's what we identify as a dude. Don't get offended or feel some sort of way. If I look at the sky and we call that blue, and you're like, no, that's tangerine. No, fuck you. You don't get to redefine the terms. These terms were created before you even came into the picture. You don't get to change it according to you. Now you can, you can perceive it however you want, but you don't get to change it to what you want it to be just because you feel some sort of way.
You heard about that actor this week who identified as a man now?
Yes.
What's her name? Her name is
Ellie something.
Yeah, his name now is Elliot Page.
Yeah,
Elliot Page.
Yeah,
and everyone is saying, welcome Elliot. He's been a phenomenal actor all his career. And I was like, yo, this person was just a chick just last week. And they changed everything about it. But yeah.
Now here's my question about that, right? And no disrespect once again to transgenders, or whatever you want to identify as. Here's my whole thing. You know how that rule says a dude should never hit a woman? Can I straight cold cock the shit out of fucking Elliot if he get out and get disrespectful? Or is he a woman then?
No, he's a dude. He wants to be identified with his.
If he wants to be identified as
so
dude,
you punch him in the fucking
you're gonna
face
take
like
all
he's a
the stuff
dude.
that comes with being a dude. You're gonna take all of that shit. Right?
Yeah.
Don't switch it up. It was like, oh no, wait a minute.
Shoot, don't go around punching transgenders.
I'm not saying I'm gonna go around punching transgenders. I'm just saying the fact of it's like all I'm saying is the fact of like, listen, it's funny to me how somebody can out on their sex, but I can't out of being black.
Yeah.
Think about
I don't know,
that.
bro. You might get away with identifying as a white man now, bro. I don't know, bro. You might. Just go ahead, go to the bank and say, yo, I'm a white man applying for this loan. I need the best rate ever.
Yeah, right. Listen, here's my punch card. As you can see, I've had over 20 white women. So
you're gonna try that with the officer pulling you over? He's gonna say, get your black white ass out the car.
You should just
but that's what I'm saying.
Hello,
it's
my
like,
fellow white man.
It's insanity. The fact of like, we are so not wanting to deal reality to coddle people's emotions instead of saying, you need to man up. This is what it is. It's cold outside. Put on a hoodie. You can't change the fucking temperature.
But you got this. It's the social media, and the book talks about the social media. And I could find anyone to believe what I believe, and then I could start a group that all believes just what I believe. You know what I mean? And now we could cancel somebody out because this is what we believe, and we could find more people that just believes what we believe, which is some bullshit.
And quite frankly, it just seems insane to me that our whole society now is more concerned about what pronoun you use, which bathroom you use, versus the fact of innocent black people being shot and killed by police in the street every fucking day. So that takes the back burner. That's just the back burner, while somebody gets to pretend to be something that they're obviously not.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. I was just filling out this application, and this is the first time I saw an application where they asked me what was my pronoun, and I couldn't skip the question. It was one of those. Wow. Yeah, it was one of these asterisks where I couldn't even skip it. I had to answer the question. I'm like skipping that. Like my name say I came. What the fuck you think I am? Like what? You know what I mean? Like what? You know what I mean? So anyway,
they just don't want to assume, bro. That's what it is. At my wife's job, they do that now.
Insane.
Like in the signature of their email, they put in parentheses, I identify, and you put the pronoun in.
Yes, well, then I want to identify as a small Chinese woman. Can I do that? Can I do that?
This is America. I guess you can do whatever you want these days.
I mean,
Let's jump into the next question.
I'm saying they're
gonna ban this episode.
I want to be a small Chinese sister.
This episode gonna get flagged. Like
I want to be a small Chinese sister.
What you was about to say, Henry?
No, I just can't wait till we get to the point where it's like, yo, I'm not black anymore, bro.
I'm about to try that.
And you know what? It ain't even just.
You're never gonna be at that point, unfortunately.
It ain't gonna.
And that's the one thing about the book.
See, it ain't gonna be. It ain't gonna be for forever though. It's just gonna be for this year. Yeah. This year I'm gonna be white. Next year I'm gonna be Asian. What's the new trending thing now? Maybe I'll be Spanish this year. I think I'll be Spanish this year.
I want to be whatever color is gonna bring my tax rate down.
For real. I'm Jeff Bezos' brother.
Yo,
can I get the best tax credit?
You want to be?
Can I get the loopholes? Can I get the loopholes?
You don't want Jeff Bezos. You want that Trump tax. That's the best tax ever. It should better than
for
Jeff.
The record. Just for the record, it's not like I have a beef or a thing against transgenders or anything like that. I don't want to punch anybody in the face. It's just the fact of like it's just not right or fair.
Dude, you know how many genders are out there they're claiming?
Your feelings and you're 1% of the population, less than 1% of the population. But my 13% of the population doesn't get any justice. But your 1% gets shit flipped overnight. Over fucking night. Your 1% didn't get shot in the street, didn't get hosed down, didn't get dogs sent on. And you're supposed to be, oppressed. Fuck, man, listen, let me stop. I'm about to be real ignorant.
right, next question.
And that's what I was about to say, Shoot, because it still comes into that black and white. Even though the book was saying there was no black and white, it still comes to that. And that shit is always going to be until we get enough, like we said a few episodes ago, unless we get enough enough race mixing, it's going to be black and white. It's going to be.
Listen, I'm doing my part. Y'all need to catch up.
Because that's what America was built on. You know what I mean? So it's going to be black and white. Like it's just
Listen,
going to be.
I'm doing my part. Y'all need to catch up. Y'all need to make your contributions.
Yeah, Cash.
All right, man. Next question. This is from Henry. Do colleges cater to their students' emotions because of potential financial ramification or because of coddling? I like this question. Go ahead, Henry.
Oh, yeah, want me to go first on this one?
Absolutely.
I think it has more to do with finances, because if the kids aren't happy, then they're not going to the school. If they're not going to the school, then the schools ain't getting money. I think that's really all it comes down to, especially when you're in a lot of cases, you know, with the deans or whoever it was that was disrespectful. Offending people, not necessarily disrespectful. The colleges, in neither of the circumstances, were publicly supporting them. I mean, even if even the other teachers weren't. So
yeah, there was that one incident where.
Well, no, you talking about the one about the. Oh, I'm sorry. You talking about the fit the mold one, because when she just said fit the mold, she was just talking to that young lady.
Not that dean. It was another one where the professor essentially resigned, and then like she just didn't get all the support. And they were saying that, you know, even their colleagues who said that they agreed with them, you know, they didn't publicly say anything. I don't know. I liken it to you think about the whole idea like the athlete, like the teachers. You know, the owners are always gonna take the side of the players over the coach, because the coach, the players or the students, those are the ones who bring the money in. So, I mean, I think that's all it comes down to. Keeping them happy.
Yo, when you first was reading that question, I was thinking differently, Henry. But yeah, it could possibly come down to the money as opposed to coddling, because what's happening on those campuses is you're getting one person that's speaking out, and like I said, they're forming a group. If that is enough pressure to, you know, I think that the other teacher resigned also because it was just too much stress and nobody was helping her, the professor. But it becomes too much stress if these students are outside. You know, we're not going to school to protesting. They were doing hunger strikes. So if the students start doing hunger strikes, it start making your institution look bad. It starts taking away money from the school. Yeah, it always comes back to a financial thing when you're talking about a college. I think it always comes back to that. Like one of the colleges, like I said, I don't know if it was Brown, but when they created that safe space, just because they didn't like who the person was coming to speak. So
it was Brown.
Coming to speak, and I don't like what Barack Obama is saying. I'm sending you to create a safe space. Not that I can just not listen or go to this freaking event, but I need you to create a whole nother space for me so I can feel safe from the rhetoric that is going to be spewed at this particular thing. And there was only one guy that they spoke of that actually kind of came to their campuses to spew hatred. What was his name? Milo.
Milo Yiannopoulos.
But
yeah,
Milo, that guy. Yeah. So yeah, it might definitely boil down to a financial thing as opposed to coddling. I think coddling is what we're still doing in elementary schools and in high schools, giving them every which way to be able to pass no matter what they do. I think in college, it just does become more about the money, more it's a financial thing. You know, if these students don't like this, they can take their money and go to another school, you know?
I think they're both correct. There is some coddling, because I think a lot of this way of thinking comes from a new age or new wave, whatever, of professors and educators that think that they're being progressive and enlightened when they're really being, you know, what's the word? Well, there's no better word for it other than coddling. You know, I hate to reuse the word so badly, but that's what it comes down to. And then the whole thing is the school overall, because this has become more prevalent, the schools have succumbed to it, also trying to play off as, being more progressive and so forth and so on, and feeding into, because they don't want to lose money. Colleges have no longer places of higher education and knowledge and development. Now colleges are a hustle. It's a hustle. You come get your degree, no matter what your grade is, no matter whether you deserve to be in college or not, whether you are going to put in the work or not. Everybody gets financial aid. Everybody gets, into school, no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're the dumbest jock or or you're, some dude on the block that just like, oh, well, this, such a line on school said they'll get online school said they'll set me, so it's become a joke. It's just a money grab nowadays, and it's really disgusting.
Nah, I concur. I think it is a financial grab. Unfortunately, a lot of people, see green in dollars before they see what is logic and reasonable. It's unfortunate, as you hear these stories, and you're just like, it sounds like in a lot of these college institutions, it's the vocal minority. Like, it doesn't seem, the sense that I'm getting is that you don't have a swath of these students protesting and causing a ruckus. It's like a vocal minority, and unfortunately, like you said, Smith, it's a PR thing, I guess. A lot of time these kids are probably calling the local news network to, create a scene and trying to damage the reputation. Therefore, with that, bad press is bad press, and you just don't want other, potential students coming in thinking that they're enrolling into a horrible school. Therefore, now you're losing out on federal dollars in addition to like actual kids who could pay for the tuition. But it is coddling.
But you know what I was about to say, because I like what Shuba said about the coddling, because a lot of that, when they were talking about self-censor, where the professors now have to self-censor themselves, they say. And like Shuba said, where the college used to be a place where you can get the higher education and you can get the banter back and forth debate. And I might say something that you might not like, you know what I mean? But that's what builds you up to be able to understand my viewpoint, and I'm able to understand your viewpoint, not shutting me down and saying you don't even want to hear the viewpoint at all, because it's going to make you feel some kind of way. By me just saying the sky is blue is going to make you feel some kind of way. So you don't even want to hear the viewpoint. You want to you have that, like you said, the voice of majority, and run around campus and picket and everything and make me not even come. So now the other students who did want to hear me, they can't even hear me. So now you've dumbed down the education, because you only want to hear from one perspective, which is wrong. You know what I mean? I only want to hear from people that's going to talk about stuff that I want to hear. If you're not talking about what I want to hear, I don't want to hear it. That's some bullshit.
And this kind of ties into like Schubert's question. Oh, I was going to tie in your question, Shu. Go ahead, bro.
Real quick. Side note, because I actually read one of the books that one of the authors had published before, called The Righteous Mind, months ago and stuff. So it's interesting. If you want a little bit more understanding of that mindset of like, what I feel is right and what you say is wrong, regardless of if I have evidence, proof, or anything substantial to back up my claims, I suggest you definitely look into the authors, one of the authors' other book, The Righteous Mind.
The Righteous Mind. All right, that's a definitely must read. Definitely. Based on what was said earlier, I want to tie in Schubert's questions. His second question, which is like the authors infer that people should not be sheltered from ideologies, which I agree. So should all ideologies be given an equal platform, regardless how controversial it is, whether it's BLM and KKK? I agree.
So the reason behind this question is the fact of we have this mindset of like, if you have a different viewpoint. So I don't know if you remember years ago when, I think it was Cuomo. No, it wasn't Cuomo. Who was the mayor at the time? I forget who, but somebody, the KKK wanted to have a parade through the cities of New York. Right? and people were protesting it, this, that, and the other, blase. And the mayor said, I can't, whether I agree with what they represent or not, they have a legal right to, have their parade or their whatever, their gathering, whatever.
Yeah, they got a constitutional right. Yeah.
Have a constitutional right. And the whole thing is that I run into a lot of people who have that mindset that you must silence anyone who has a different viewpoint than you. All right. Like, I don't agree with the KKK, but the reality is the only way you come up to great ideas in development is that you bring all the ideas, good, bad, and indifferent, ugly, whatever the case may be, no matter how hateful it is to say, and put it on the table of discretion, all right, of scrutiny, I'm sorry, and that's where you chop that shit the fuck up on that table of scrutiny. If you push that shit, like, no, you don't get to bring your voice to the table because I don't agree with it, then all you do is create somebody who's going to go underground and create an entire more reason to back up what they're saying with their emotions, because now you fired up their emotions to go against you. So the whole thing is all ideas, BLM, KKK, white boys, Trump, this, whatever the idea is, whatever the thought process is, if you're not bringing it to the table of scrutiny and actually having an intellectually honest conversation about it, you're simply going to fall into the death trap of letting your feelings guide your direction instead of your mind. And that's why, the public is generally manipulated by politics, is because it's your emotions that dictate your decisions. It's not your intellectual decision. 9 out of 10 people do not do any actual research into economics, into history, into fiscal policies to understand why they're voting behind someone.
Yeah, and I love that you said the emotions, because it makes me think of the elephant and the human on top of the elephant.
Yeah, that was one of the references in the Righteous Mind. That's why I remembered it. That visual stayed with me, because no matter what you try to do, the elephant represents emotion. All right. And the human wants the elephant to do what the human wants the elephant to do, but the elephant is controlled by his own desires. So the elephant is always going to do what he desires to do. You will never be able to control that elephant. And that's when they talk about your emotions, being able to control your emotions when they get out of line. So, I think everybody should have an equal platform. I think that you shouldn't silence one, because then you don't know where they're coming from. And to get a true understanding, you need to hear them out. You can always respectfully disagree. You don't have to agree with what's being said, but you can get an understanding of why it's being said. You know what I mean? And
is it the problem that we can't respectfully disagree? I think that's the problem, that people can't respectfully disagree.
Yeah, I think some of it has to do with the fact of, like, it's not just me offering my opinion about how I feel about you or a certain thing. It's like, I want to physically cause harm. Yeah, and prevent you from doing better. If you don't like me and you're going to stay in your space and I'll stay in mine, then that's one thing. But you don't like me and now you want to come burn crosses in front of my house. Like, I don't think that there should be a platform for that unless you're going to be able to come. It can be like a debate style or a professional manner where it's like, you're telling me exactly how you feel, why you feel this way. And then, like, we go our separate ways. I don't got to worry about you attacking me when I'm in the parking lot.
And that's exactly what I said. You have to bring it to the table of scrutiny.
Yeah, I'm about to say at a table, we're not talking about agree with everybody has their own, should be able to just speak and come burn a cross in your house. No, not that. We're not talking about literature. We're talking about
we're talking about having an open discussion.
Yeah, having an open dialogue. Yeah, like not. Yeah, we're talking about coming to the table and being able to say, this is where I stand, this is where you stand, kind of thing. Not coming to you. Yeah, that whole thing in itself just shows you the level of mind to decide, and I believe in this, that, and the other, and then I come to your house and burn a cross because I don't like the color of your skin. That's just a whole nother evil.
Is it because historically, like, based on your ideology, if your ideology has historically had roots with violence associated with it, and I think where Kelvin is coming from, I don't think it's necessarily in that moment, like you're gonna bring across, but it's just that associated with your ideology has been attached these sort of violent, acts with it. It's look, I'm all for open discussions, but there is something to be said about certain ideologies not needing to fester too much, or giving a platform so much so.
Everyone that he talked about when he was going down the line and got up to Charlottesville, and as he was going through the timeline, and I'm saying, damn, I remember these events. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's another level of hate. You know what I mean? That's another level of hate. But you got to understand, these people are also not willing to hear from the black point of view, or that black point of reference. There was this lady, I forget her name offhand, that has transformed like 100 and something Ku Klux Klan members and taken them out of the Klan. And you know what I mean? So there are people who are just genuinely good if you allow them to have that conversation. I'm going to get her name too, but and this is what she does. She goes and transform Ku, right? It can be done if you have that conversation, but you have to be willing to have that conversation.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and if
without the hatred, but that's another part. And really, the hatred comes in. If you ever go back and look at pictures, and really look at pictures of anywhere from Ruby Bridges to before that, and you look at the hate that is on the faces of these white individuals, bruh, like it's so intense. That's why we still will be here, and that's why we still going to be in this shit for a long time, because that intensity that shit is in their DNA, and that shit has been passed down. Yeah. I like when I see on Instagram where the little white kids are now trying to put their parents in their place and saying, yo, you're fucking racist, mom.
So with all of that said, going back to Shuba's question, should they all be given an equal platform? I don't think they should, in the stance of you're not coming in just to express how it is you feel. Like
you're saying that nobody should be able to spew hate. That's what you're saying, because to have the freedom of speech.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you shouldn't be able to, like, it's okay to say it.
Speech should be
Smith, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's okay to say whatever you want. It's just not okay to say I hate you, I feel like killing you, and then try to do it. Like, that's the problem. You can say whatever you want. The issue is you're trying to, like, behind these actions, behind these words, there's always an action. Negative actions.
And that's exactly what I was trying to.
This is true. But the whole thing is, if you diffuse the words and the emotions, then the actions don't come to fruition. But if you allow it to fester, that's when the actions come into fruition.
Yeah, but I don't think
the whole thing is the fact of majority of people, right? All right. If any of y'all are Christian, right? If any of y'all is Christian, 9 out of 10, you were raised Christian all your life. You never got a different perspective. Mm-hmm. I'll give you mine specifically. I grew up Catholic. I thought all people believed in Jesus all my life because I thought that's what everybody did. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and even the Hasidic Jews, I thought, at some strange reason, I thought that they even believed in Jesus and all of that. You know what I mean? It wasn't until much later in life I was exposed to Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, so forth and so on, and I realized, oh, there's other ways of thought. I had no idea. It was never brought to the table. I was always taught growing up in my religion that all other religions are false. All other religions are garbage. All other religions are, this, that, and the other, right? And they still teach that today, but still in the same breath say, well, we're all God's children. But those people over there are wrong. How false of a dichotomy is that? But anyway, we're not going to talk about hypocrisy in religion. But the whole thing is, it's the same thing with any ideology, whether it is religion, whether it is race, whether it is finance, political beliefs, this, that, and the other. If you're not getting both sides of that coin, the light and the dark, you're not getting a full picture. You're only going to get one perspective. This is the reason why we have people that are way too goddamn liberal, that think that we're in a rape culture because Grand Theft Auto.
Was insane.
Grand Theft Auto has some bad words and bad views of women, right? But at the same token, you have on the other side, white men that are like, we're losing the country. They're taking our country. It's like, hold up. I don't remember you being native, like, ooh, like that. No, homie. Like, no, this wasn't your country.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
as 1/16th Indian, I took that as being offensive, bro.
I think something with like Black Lives Matter.
Now, but you
can say the other point, but I don't think the KKK, like, there's nothing that the KKK can come and say, this is why we feel this way about Black people. This is why we're killing them and doing this. And then people say, oh, okay, I get where you're coming from. It's okay now.
This is true. But the whole thing is you must be able to scrutinize with their argument, dismantle it, and then disarm them. But if you do not do that because you're not willing to have the conversation, they're just going to keep believing what they believe.
And to be honest, to some modern day KKK members, they don't even talk about killing Black people. They're on some segregation and shit. Like, they don't have those words that incite violence. They just on some like, we should just separate ourselves from all of these other ethnic groups.
Yeah, think about this. Minister Louis Farrakhan has always preached love for your own kind. And that has always been taken as hate for every other race.
Didn't he meet with a Klansman too?
Yeah. But when you preach self-love, it gets interpreted as hate for everyone else when you look like us. Everybody else can love themselves, but not if you're Black. Not if you look like you can't love yourself, because then you're hating everybody else because you love yourself too much.
Well, wasn't the article about white people, white men, the attack on white men? There's this whole initiative where white men are now being such villainized people that it's almost damned to be white, to be a heterosexual white male. That's the feeling that I'm getting off of these scenarios on these.
I'm about to say that's how white men feel. Please.
Well, that's actually what's being pumped out there is the fact of that you, if you're a straight, if you're a heterosexual white male, then you are the dominating person on the planet, or something.
Exactly.
And the truth be told, let's be 100. One, not all white men are living the same fucking life. All right.
Thank you.
You got white men that are on the bottom, just like like poverty or below the poverty line. You got white men that are in the 1%. All right, you got that. You got white men that have done good things. You got white men that have done bad things.
Yep.
You also have the same thing with Black folks, Asian folks. Show me anywhere on the planet where you won't find somebody who's on top and somebody who's on bottom. Somebody who is, doing well and not doing well. Somebody who is
every race
doing
every
good
creed.
things and someone doing bad things in any fucking race. Show me any race that does not have that.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, on these college campuses, and what I was fearful as I was listening to the stories, what I think is going to happen, you're going to have white men on these college campuses who are, never had a history of owning slaves, doesn't necessarily, have a trait of racism. If they're coming onto college campuses and they're being attacked, I think that's going to have some serious ramifications where they're going to catch the ear of some white dude, some Aryan Nation white dude saying, like, look what they're doing to college campuses. You're on these college campuses and you're being villainized. Come here, come to my group. And I think that's the wrong approach. I think a lot of these college campuses need to make sure that they don't take. You can't you can't villainize white men in that regards. But
because at the end of the day, no one chose what race, what sex, what color, their skin, or any of that shit. They just came out that way. Mm-hmm. They just came out that way. Society might be fucked up, sure. Definitely let's deal with the situations in society, but don't fucking villainize anyone just for being whatever the fuck they were born as. I mean, whether
especially
they're Black,
like
they're
these
white,
kids are born in the 90s.
It's like me as a Black man, I don't want to be stereotyped as a fucking hoodlum or a thief or a criminal. I know that there are Black men that are hoods, criminals, and thieves.
And there are also white men and
behind
Asian
that.
men. There's every race that
but
have
they're
criminal
exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, like don't hit me with the bullshit of like, oh, it only works one way, it doesn't work the other. And that's the biggest problem with this, this emotional PC culture. It's a one-way street.
Yeah.
It depends on how far on the victim pole you are.
Yeah, like one of the things that I know, I managed to not have done, and one of the fortunate experiences of going to St. Benedict's, I went to, it's fairly diverse, and I have encountered white guys who was in much more dire financial strait than I was, and I was in the projects and like mobile homes in Hillside, like, so I never took the perspective that white men in general have always fared better than me, because when you break down the economics of like who's earning the money, who's making the power moves, you're talking about less than 1% of people out here. They're white.
Yeah,
but they're not. But it's not your everyday white guy, and I can't take that animosity towards an everyday white guy. That's just ridiculous.
Nah, and that's what I think it was just before Nixon. They set that up to make the poor white trash, as they called them, that was in the trailer homes, look down on blacks even though they had less than them, just to keep that separation. Like, how are you looking down on me? I'm higher than you, but you're still looking down on me.
Is it any different
you at this point?
Is it any different than in the hood when one black person look down on another black person? Because even though we live in the same fucking neighborhood, we're in the same demographic, the same economic situation, I'm gonna look down on you because you got Payless sneakers and not Jordans.
Yeah. Or you wore the same shirt twice in 1 week, which I've gotten ridiculed for when I was younger.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's the whole thing is we are doing the same thing that we don't want done to us. We are identifying a race or a sex or a race with a behavior that is human. You can't show me one race that does not have whatever good or bad trait or characteristic or action. You can't show me one race that hasn't done it. You can't show me one.
Yeah, they all have it. Yeah,
it still goes on to this day. All right. You could look at the Indian caste system and how they treat people of a lesser caste. They're all the same people, but because they believe you were born underneath a certain family name, even though you have the same color skin, you come from the same country, you're Indian just like me, you are beneath me.
Yeah.
It's tribalism.
Which was a great
it's
chapter
human behavior.
All right. Human behavior. Next question. With terms like microaggression, this is from me. Is comedy entertainment dead because of the soft ass kids we're raising? I don't know about you guys, but in the past several years, I have noticed how I'm a huge comedy dude. I love comedy during my, if I'm not reading something economics or financial, I like to sit back and listen to a comedy album or watch comedy TV series. And I have noticed that, a lot of these comedy specials are whack. A lot of these comedy shows are just watered down and bogus. And one of my TV series, one of my wife and I's favorite TV shows, South Park. And there was an episode where Cartman goes to the water park and he sings the Minority song, right? So, and this was on Comedy Central, and I realized that they refurbished the song where now it's all distorted and you can't hear the song now, because now when I read the article as to why they did it, because people took offense to the song. Mind you, this is an animation, but they kind of, rather than edit the scene, because obviously people who are fans of the show, they know that this scene would have been taken out. They just distorted the song. So now that you can't hear this relatively offensive song sang by Cartman. So my question is comedy dead, or entertainment? It just doesn't even have to be comedy. Is entertainment dead because of terms like microaggression that is permeating in our society?
I don't think it's dead. I think people are being very careful, but like I just watched Kevin Hart's, and he's getting back to the point where he's like, look, I'm just going to say what the fuck I want to say, and y'all take it how y'all want to take it. I grew up on Eddie Murphy and Red Fox and shit. You know what I mean? I grew up where they talked about it. You know what I mean? They talked about race. They talked about everything. And and it was funny. You know, we've become so sensitized in America that we're like, and we're only sensitized when it comes to something that it's hurt. Again, going back to this emotional thing, it's hurting our feelings. I can't even laugh at something that is funny because if I laugh, maybe I'm going to hurt somebody's feeling. Man, that shit was funny as hell. When you said that joke, that shit was funny. I don't give a fuck about the race or anything. That shit was just funny. It was just a funny ass joke. Dave Chappelle goes back. I don't know if you watched him on Saturday Night Live, the latest one that he did. And I was like, yo, Chappelle is rocking and rolling, you know. And he had said something like, you know, females would still should be getting paid as much as males in a sense. He said he threw that shit out there, right? But he was joking, and it was in the context of a joke. And then he was like, yo, damn, y'all really that sensitive? Hey, he talked to the producer. He was like, yo, I thought this was a fucking comedy show. What the fuck are we doing? Like, this is a comedy show. Y'all motherfuckers are so sensitive, then don't come see my show. If you don't like my content, don't come see me. Because I'm going to start speaking my mind again. And that's shit how it should be. And you have a choice to either support me or not, you know? But yeah, I think as far as entertainment, yeah, you'll start getting some shit that's a little more schmoozy. You got to start looking for B movies because, you know, it's not happening in the genre of music as far as rap is concerned. Motherfuckers are still speaking their mind. They're going back to speaking how Public Enemy was speaking.
They're going to target rap at some point. They're going to get this, but you know.
Yeah, they're going back to speaking like Public Enemy, man.
No, they're not. They're not going to target rap only because the rap, the rappers are 99% black, so they're still the oppressed. So because they're oppressed, they can say what they want to say. It's the same way why a black comedian can make jokes about white people all day, and it's not perceived as racist. But if one white person says, you know, repeats a black comic's joke, you know, then they're being, you know, they're going to be classified as racist and be taken off the air, this, that, and the other. It is the double.
Jeff Foxworthy.
Huh?
Yeah, Jeff Foxworthy. I said Jeff Foxworthy.
I mean, the whole thing is like, yeah, things have been watered down. I don't know how far back Kel and I know Hawk remember this, but you remember In Living Color, right?
Yeah, I remember In Living Color. Yeah.
Okay, so when you think back on the things that Homie the Clown used to do, beating people upside the head, you know, smacking a woman and this, that, and the other, that shit would not be accepted today. When you think about Jim Carrey as, you know, handicapped man, you know, like, no, that was the other one, Dame Wayman, all right, who was handicapped man. That would not be accepted.
Yeah,
you know, like, there are things that those kids would not be accepted today.
Hey, shoot, those wouldn't be accepted, but we accept all this transgender. Like you said, I don't got nothing against them, but we accept all that. I'm just saying, we accepting all that, but what we like comedy, we can't accept. I'm just trying to figure out. Listen, let me say this. One thing about Dave Chappelle, he don't give a fuck. Dave Chappelle would talk about whoever, and he got a very good skit where he talks about transgender. And he said, yeah, they tried to cancel culture him. And he said, yo, but that's the funniest shit ever. And I'm always going to talk about it. Think about it. You were born a fucking dude and you want to be a chick? Like, if that's just not funny, what the fuck is funny?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the level of success of the comedian. That's why like a Kevin Hart or Dave Chappelle can say what they want. And I do, you know, to Schubert's point, they also have that in their arsenal, I can still say racist shit about white people because I'm black.
Yeah,
like this is like you didn't finish.
But you know what? Here's the thing. At the end of the day, 9 out of 10 comics. Nobody writes comedy off of things that are just everyday monotonous shit or things that are just like, oh, happy and cheery. We laugh at pain. We laugh at our suffering. We laugh at, that's the only way. That's how we deal with it, you know? Is
we laugh at each other.
Oh, shit, Kel fell down the stairs. You know, we don't want Kel to be hurt, but that shit was funny as hell the way he fell down the steps, all right? It's not, and that's the thing. It's like we forget that about comedy. Comedy helps us laugh at our pain. And the whole thing is, Dave Chappelle, I'm glad you brought him up because he said it the best. All right, him and Bill Burr, right? They both said that when I made jokes about the fat person, you wasn't offended. When I made jokes about the baby You wasn't offended. When I made jokes about everything except your people, you wasn't offended. But as soon as I came around to you and you got your equal share, now you offended. How much of a hypocrite are you? And that's the reality.
Exactly.
We laugh at everybody else's pain, but soon as like, oh no, he's talking about me, we butt hurt. Fuck it.
And Kel, keep this in mind. Dave's been talking his truth, his life, man. It was his mentor. You know who his mentor was? What's my man name? Ask a Black Dude. Damn, come on, Bradley. You said you listen to these people.
Another thing that
shit.
Huh?
What's my man name? Cash, you said you listen to comedians, and he's
Paul Mooney.
Paul Mooney. Exactly. That was his mentor. So Dave Chappelle always spoke his truth. He always kept it 100. Yeah. He's just saying now, now that I'm on stand-up, I'm still going to go back.
But that's it, though, Smith. When he first came out, though, it wasn't as sensitive as things are. The fact that he is who he is now, he can still say it.
And I gotta support what Kel is saying, because Kel saying what he says is absolutely correct. The established comedians have that leeway. I'm talking about these new age comedians. If you ever take the time to watch Hulu, Netflix, and you watch these comedy shows, yo, they're atrocious. That's just bad across the board, bad. And like for me, I find humor in some stereotypical shit, whether it's coming, if it comes, I just do. But to see the level of sensitivity that is happening now, it is a sad day, not just in comedy, but in just all genres of entertainment. Because last night, my wife and I was watching a horror movie. It was horrible. It was one of those indie horror movies, right? I go online to read the critic reviews, right? I didn't see much on the critic reviews. I watched this audience review. Yo, this one chick, basically, the premise of the film was about this eugenist mom basically creating a clone of this chick so that her psychopath son could continuously kill. I read the the audience review, and this chick basically said that her mom is engaging in toxic masculinity, allowing her son to continuously kill a woman over and over. Like, it was a lengthy thing, and I was just like, wow, you derive all of this from a horror film. And it just goes to show me that there's a level of sensitivity that is happening that is basically creating a ceiling on all forms of entertainment. So, like, to Kelvin's point, it's not the established comedians, it's not your Dave Chappelle's, it's not your Kevin Hart, it's not your Chris Rocks that could get away with it. It's this new the new generation of comedy and entertainment that is horrible. It's just horrible. It's just like, because everyone is so afraid to offend someone, that I think it's just the creativity is just no longer there.
They don't know what comedians to look at. DC Young Fly, he still be doing, like, keeping things raunchy and stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know if you follow him. You said you follow comedians. Honestly, but there are some comedians that still keep it a certain way and some that don't. You know what I mean?
But that's from a mass production, like a stand-up. DC doesn't.
Yeah.
DC doesn't have like
they got the 95 boys. They got the 95 boys. They got
he has an hour stand up. I'm talking about doing an hour stand up. No,
he's not doing an hour stand up by himself. He's not doing what Mike Epps just did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm talking about like
3 minutes.
Yeah, like those type of comedians, not like the skits that these new age IG stuff that people like the younger generation like to do. I'm talking about you could be on a stage and just tell stories and jokes.
Motherfuckers is not that funny, Cash.
There's a reason for that, though.
For an hour, they're not that funny to be able to get for an hour.
Bill Maher, I don't know if you guys know who Bill Maher is. Bill Maher he ranted on this on his show. And he talks about on college campuses. I never forget my experience. This was
I did see that rant.
Yeah, and he was talking about how comedians now, they're struggling on college campuses. You know, back in the day, you could get all types of comedians to come on college campuses. Comedians, they're essentially banned on college campuses. And I never forget the turning point. While this author of this book talks about the 20 teens was really the turning point in one of these college universities, I was starting to see that during my senior year, which was back in 05, 06. Actually, this was my sophomore year when I went to a homecoming in University of Delaware. And they had Tracy Morgan, and you know, if you watch Tracy Morgan in his early days, that dude was just raw. He was raw. He did not give a shit. And I kid you not, to see the number of people college kids just get up and leave. Someone was
And walk
offended
out.
and just walk out. And I'm like, yo, y'all that sensitive? Like, you didn't take the time to know who Tracy Morgan was before you came here, and now I'm not even a student here, but I was hearing people complain, talking about we got to do a better job assessing which comedians come on college campuses. This was in 05, 06.
Because I don't want to laugh. I want to have a stick up my ass. You know what I mean? I didn't come here to laugh. I came here to be offended. And as soon as I get offended, I'm going to walk out. So if somebody says something and it hurts your feelings to the point that you get up and walk out, you don't want to even hear them laugh. Feelings that you just got to go. Like, that's whack as hell.
I'm just saying that now it's full throttle on entertainment. I don't know. Maybe you guys probably have seen,
but check it.
Comedy that's
guys.
Yeah.
Nah, Eddie Murphy is supposed to be doing his stand-up. It's supposed to go on Netflix. He's getting a bunch of money to do it. I think Eddie Murphy will make people become the comedians that they should be at this moment. Because Eddie Murphy ain't sugarcoating shit. You either like it or you don't.
That's what it is.
You either going to watch it or you ain't.
Because homeboy's established.
He's established.
I know, but think about this. Eddie Murphy hasn't made a stand-up since Delirious, bruh.
Yeah, that's because
he doesn't have to. And you're saying that Eddie Murphy okay, he's made movies, but you're saying he can come back out as a comedian and just say offensive shit?
Yes, because all of his movies are in the same realm of comedy. So not saying that his movies have been raunchy, but that's what he started. So at the end of the day, he's not trying to make a living. He does. I mean, he's to the point where he's not dependent on the stand-up. That's what I mean. That's true. Let me finish this. Then you jump in. And he also has a fan base where he's not trying to establish one, and his fan base knows him as a specific type of comedian.
Go ahead, Shu.
He muted.
So you might have heard about this, Cass, since you live in Montclair. During the lockdowns, when the school was coming back or whatever the case was, there was a parent, who was also a comedian who lives in Montclair, a black parent. He's a comedian.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, tell the story.
He did like a little skit to say thank you to the teachers.
Yeah.
For everything that they do.
Black dude.
He's like, I know my kids are bad and this, that, and the other. And he was like over the top kind of ghetto. And the whole thing is, knowing that this was comedy, the principal of Montclair, I believe high school, took the recording or something and presented it to the school, or one of the teachers, someone in the staff, in the faculty, presented it to, the rest of everyone there, right? And a bunch of people got offended and butthurt not because of anything this man said, but just his demeanor being, over the top and ghetto and this, that, and the other, whatever the case is. And it's just like, that's just who he is as a black man.
Yeah.
They felt offended by him being himself, right? They felt offended, not by anything he said. He didn't say anything disrespectful. He was saying how great the teachers were, how like, yo, thank you for dealing with my kids and this, that, and the other. And he was over the top with it. But because it was, presented by a white teacher or a white faculty member, they perceived it as racist, even though he didn't produce it, even though the person is a resident of Montclair, even though the person created this on their own, and the, I believe the superintendent at the time, who was, I think, black.
A black lady, yeah.
Yeah, had it removed and had him removed and this, that, all of this shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was insane to think, like, even in Montclair, as progressive as Montclair is and as multicultural Montclair is, they were that ignorant. And my man had to come back with another video like, yo, I'm being me. That's who I am. You can't sit here and shit on my name and this, that, and the other. This is who I am. You can't define me. All right? You can't define me. And it's like, even when somebody's being themselves, like, it's funny to me. It's not offensive or whatever. No, I'm not going to go there with that. But
because I'm not talking like how you want me to talk, and I'm not speaking in the manner that you want me to speak in, because I speak like this.
But mind you,
get the fuck out of here.
If let's say he had did it the other way around and he had been like Poindexter or something, somebody would have been offended, like, oh, is that the way black people are supposed to behave? Are they supposed to act more white? Exactly. Are they supposed to speak more articulately because we speak too ghetto?
Exactly.
Like, no matter what, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Hey,
I laughed my ass off with that story. I'm glad you brought that up, Shu. Yeah.
Hey, executive producer Cash, can you get that? Can you get that for me?
Yeah, I sent that. All
right,
over,
thank
man.
you.
That was a crazy ass story.
I'm curious. I want to see it. I want to see
Shu
it.
said, man, like the dude is a comedian. Like, bruh, this is what
he's a comedian.
Man. Like, and this is why I say, yo, when as the story, like, you know, when he was telling the story, back to the book, when they was telling the story about the Latina girl who got offended by the word mold, I didn't know she got triggered by the word mold. I'm like, yo, are we that sensitive as a culture now that, yo, is our entertainment in jeopardy? Because, yo, I'm like, yo, during this whole COVID shit, I've been watching repeats of Married with Children. And I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, yo, this would not fly today.
Not fly. But think about it. It's not just about entertainment. Are we in that realm or entering that realm in education as well?
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're offended by the novel that I'm asking you to read.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
It has certain terms in here that you don't like or agree with. So you're totally turned off. Like, does it affect our education as well?
Yo, you know what's crazy about that?
Sensitive that we can't fucking read a goddamn book.
Smith, you know what's crazy about that, bro? One of the teachers in my school say he refused to teach one of the books because it goes against his religion.
That's what I'm saying. It starts affecting education. Like, are we that sensitive as Americans? Like, we got there. I'm not going to teach this.
Every time that nigga Smith say something crazy, he get frozen.
CIA. They watching.
Toni Morrison's bluest eyes. The fuck out of here, bruh. Really? Yes, because black people can't have blue eyes. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man.
Y'all better take this away from me. I'm about to start becoming offensive.
Right,
black people do have blue eyes. I'll show you a whole group of them that have fucking blue eyes.
All right, let's try to wrap these next few questions up.
And they're
let's go back
original too.
Shu's Black Zeus question.
You had another question, Cash?
Well, there's a couple left. This is what I'm trying to get to.
I got you.
So this is the Black Zeus. Going along with the author's premise, in our current pandemic state, are we coddling the population with social distancing and quarantines? This is thought-provoking.
So
I'm sorry, I missed something.
So in the book, we're talking about how peanut allergies, because the kids weren't exposed to it. You know, they developed peanut allergies because, you know, they weren't exposed to anything. And here we are in 2020, and we know how viruses work and so forth and so on. And though, yes, it is very sad and unfortunate of the death toll that has happened with COVID. I personally have lost my brother, so I totally understand and take personal, have a personal connection towards that effect. Knowing that what we know now, that it is like 98 or 99%, you know, non-lethal, you know, are by us saying, okay, nobody go anywhere, you know, are we coddling the society? Because now we're like, okay, some people may have it, but not have any symptoms, you know, whatsoever, while other people, you know, are going to be, you know, whatever, you know, more susceptible towards, they have medical issues, X, Y, and Z. So are we coddling those who are not going to have symptoms or major symptoms or anything, I guess, truly damaging? Are we coddling them and making them weaker by not letting them be exposed to anything?
I think the only tricky situation.
That's an excellent question.
It is. Really.
I want to start by saying this. I don't know if it's, you got to understand, I don't know if it's necessarily coddling. You got to remember, this is a new virus. Well,
man, you didn't jump in front of Henry.
You see that, right?
I don't know how long this shit been around.
I'm going to let Smith talk until he freeze,
because I be having issues.
And that nigga can't even listen to us. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I was just going to let him keep talking till he freezes, bro. That's it. So like, yo, I think that they are being coddled in this instance, and I can't say that I'm against it, only because, like, yo, the younger people are still coming into contact with people who are high risk. That's the only reason why, and the only reason why I'm even this anal about it, to be honest, is because like, yo, I go around my mom's and I go around my uncles. But if my mom lived in a whole nother state and I didn't really have to worry about them, not saying I'd be out there, but like I'm not taking these same extreme measures. So I think in this situation they are definitely being coddled. But like, sure, I'll say this and then I'll wrap it up. Like the people who are being, like the young people who are being coddled, they're already somewhat not immune to it, but like they're not gonna suffer as greatly as the people who who are high risk. So yeah, they don't have the disease, but if they got it, it's like the statistics are already showing that they're not going to struggle from it. You know, like they'll be able to bounce back.
So the whole thing is that
the majority of them.
You know, shouldn't the true precaution be taken around the bubble? Should be put around those that are high risk, not those that are not. You know, because the whole thing is that this is what was done with the peanut, situation. So, for instance, in my son's school, if a kid has a peanut butter sandwich, he has to go sit at the peanut butter table. All right, like he has to be bubbled away from everybody. Versus find out who has the peanut allergy and bubble that kid from everybody.
But shoot,
instead, it's the other way around.
But if you're high risk, and they're saying, okay, well, your son's not high risk, so we'll let him go to school and do whatever he is. And let's put even if he's the age he is now, even a teenager, like there's no way to protect you when your son is coming back into contact with you. I think that's what the issue is.
And I get that, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. The thing is that we are still saying, okay, listen, because we don't know who may be asymptomatic, we want everybody to wear a mask. So if you're someone who is, high risk and your child may be asymptomatic, hey, son, when you come in the house, put on a mask. I'm going to put one on, you're going to put one on. That's what we're going to be. We're going to social distance in the house, this, that, and the other, so forth and so on. That's how you resolve that. It's no different than what we're already doing. It's just instead of you doing, a nuclear bomb of protection, you're doing a fine-tuned drone laser.
Yeah, but people ain't being responsible like that. That's the issue too. Like I'm not coming in and wearing a mask around. Like this dude in like Tariq, this nigga's walking around doing whatever. If I didn't say, okay, now you got to quarantine, he's not thinking to do it. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily his fault. It's just that like people aren't taking those precautions where need be. Because you're right, Shooter.
But here's my thing: if they're not taking that precautions in a broad sense, it didn't matter whether you were doing it on a finer sense. They're gonna have that same behavior regardless of whether it's a broad mark or it's a fine mark.
Agreed, and that's why I think that they are being coddled in the situation because they're not taking them precautions, whether it's broad, fine, wherever it is. Like they're just not doing it. So now they're being forced to do it.
But I don't think they're being coddled, Henry, and I don't think they're being forced to do anything. Motherfuckers are still making choices, and they're deciding not to do whatever the fuck they want to do or not do. That's what I was saying a minute ago. Like I said, China, it worked with China because everybody got shut down. It wasn't, well, Henry's block is going to be in a bubble. Cash's block is going to be in a bubble. Black Zeus's block is going to be in a bubble. But all of America can still go about their fucking business. And understanding that we're never going to come on your street for your bubble. That's fucking impossible. This is America. You're going to interact. You're going to connect. You're going to move around. So unless you shut all of it down at one time, just for a period of time to get back on a one page, that we missed that mark. We missed that shit. And now we got all these issues and the backlash from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the whole thing is, Hawk, is the fact that this is not the first occurrence. Look into history. The Black Plague, smallpox, cowpox, you know what I mean? And
I got that. I got that, but we're
the CIA really
to get things in order.
I got an example.
I'm talking about just for a minute to get things in order.
I feel you.
I get the H1N1 and the flu, get all that, but just to shut it down for a minute to get things in order. Now, like at the end of the day, listen to this. You're going to have, I don't give a fuck what the numbers look like right now. You're going to have upwards of 500,000 and 60,000 people dying. Quote me that shit. That's what it's going to be. You're going to have about upwards of 5. I don't want to be at that number. We're only at about 280 right now. You talk about 560. We got a couple 100,000 to go. That shit is going to happen by December.
Are you doing a detailed analysis of the people who have comorbidities, the people who are elderly? Are you doing an analysis of like, I'm
doing an analysis of, I don't give a fuck who's dying. That's too many people.
But do
you understand?
Do you do that? But I'm just saying, I understand that. But I understand that. But at the same time, people die every day.
This, okay. At the same time, people die every day. So do 2,900 people die every day?
Yeah, probably.
Yes, more. Bro. People did. Yes,
I've never heard 29
between drunk driving, between drunk driving and heart disease. Yes, bro. Dude,
pull up. Hey, Cash, you the executive producer. Pull up them goddamn stats for next time, bro.
Between gunshots, homicides, suicides,
100 people in one day.
Dude,
in one day.
I'm trying to tell you, Smith. See, this is why. Let's have a conversation. Dude, between homicides, suicides, can I run down the list of issues that our society goes through so that way we can have between cancer, suicides, homicides, drunk driving, all these strokes.
Diabetes.
Dude, diabetes. There's a gamut of list of things that people die from every day, Smith. A gamut of lists.
Not 2,900 people. But it's not 2,900 people, Cash.
So right now, dude, if you break
2,900 people in
Smith, hold on. Here's a quick question.
One day?
Dude, 2,900 people didn't.
Hold up, wait. I got some facts.
Go ahead, Henry.
That's what I'm talking. Pull up facts.
In 2000, now this is 2017. Y'all give me a minute. I'll find some.
That's fine.
2017, no coronavirus. An average of 7,708 deaths occur each day.
Thank you. Jesus Christ, man.
In the United States.
In the United States.
Okay.
Yes. I've been trying to say that. If you run down the list of issues that people face every day, it's all the time. All the time.
Yo, I used to work in a hospital. It was my job to put.
That's a lot.
I used to put people. So my job in the hospital was to put people in the morgue. Part of my job was to put them in the freezer. All right.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that sucks.
It paid the bills, but no, it only sucked. It only fucked me up when one time it was a baby. But the whole thing is, on average, I put at least 4 people a week into that freezer, on average, and just during my shift.
Well, look at it this way: 7,000.
All right, and those are people that came to the hospital for help. Who didn't make it to the hospital?
Oh shit!
Who died of natural causes? Who died of strokes, aneurysm, this, that, and the other.
The reason why I know this is because my wife's sister-in-law, she's an EMT worker, and we had this conversation like 2 Thanksgivings ago, and she was running down the list of people die from, like, the crazy shit that she would see, and we were just talking about, she was like, yeah, thousands of people die every day in the United States. And I was just like, really? She was just like, yeah, between just the list of things you could think of people die from, it's in the thousands.
Respect due, Cash. I respect that. I hear you.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's the fact of what you're going by, Hawk, is just the fact of it's being publicized, the people that are dying from this one specific thing.
That's what it is. It's the one specific thing. Yes, that's what it is.
When it seems more fine-tuned, it seems like, oh my God. But like if you
it's the one specific.
Yeah, it's like you've seen the tree, but you don't see the forest.
Yeah, no, even the greatest day in killing in Chicago didn't have 2,900 people.
Yeah, maybe that one thing in Chicago
loses. Yeah, Chicago will lose 200 people, and that's all So it's the one situation that's taking too many people. You know what I mean? It's not like we had 30,000
or
25.
Well, I had an example
about this, Hawk. Think about this, and you could look it up. There was one day in the Star Ledger that there was a news article in the Star Ledger about the one day that Newark, New Jersey did not have a homicide.
I remember that.
Years. One day. Like that made news where that would be common
one day.
Shit anywhere else. Anywhere else is like, we haven't had a homicide in years. They said it made news that they went 1 day without a homicide. Like that was some sort of point of celebration.
It was, bro. That shit was like a workplace accident. You know, when you have a workplace accident out of all these years, you've never had an accident, and then it is, bro. What are you? Okay, Cash. Listen, you have to understand, Cash. Listen. Where I live at, I live in the hood, and like it was a rapper that was just shot dead in the street.
Oh, yo, I saw the video,
bro.
In broad daylight.
Okay, hey, Cash.
Yeah.
I walked to the store. You understand? To the store.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. Shit is real where I live at. Like,
I know it's real. I'm talking about your analogy about it being a factory job, bro.
It is like you know, like a workplace accident. You know, you go all these years without having it, and then all of a sudden it becomes big news in the workplace.
Yeah,
it became big news. You know.
But I have one medical thing that seemed like coddling. So I don't know if you guys in many other states have municipalities have adopted this. When Mike Bloomberg issued a sugar tax, you remember that? A sugar soda tax?
Yeah.
That was coddling to me. That was coddling because it was just like
that was coddling. Because
I understand you want people to eat better. I understand you want people to live more healthier lives, but to impose
Good morning,
a
Miss
tax
Henry.
on a soda, on a sugary beverages so that people could be more healthy. I just feel like, why can't just tell people to just do things in moderation, exercise, and not consume soda on the regular basis rather than imposing a tax, because all it did was
that's not what you saw, Cash. You just wanted to know why people couldn't make their own decision. Because they have,
but that's coddling though. When people
no, that's exactly. You're right.
Yeah.
You're just saying that you should have gave people their own decision. If I want to buy a 45-ounce soda for 99 cents, damn it, and drink it all. If I want to be a fat pig and slob and not work out, then let me be that. You know, he was coddling. Yeah, he was I don't want my steak to be fat and out of shape. So I'm going to put this sugar tax on you all.
So we got 10,000 people are born each day, according to 2019. Born each day. So you still got more people. Still got more people being born every day than dying.
So you got 10 being born and 7 going out. So we got 3,000 that we got to get rid of. Well, I think you know what? And I think we should look at that. I think we should monitor that shit. I think the birth rates might have gone up early COVID, but I think motherfuckers is going to reevaluate having children.
I don't know. I think it's going up.
That's a good question. Yeah. I think people are going to reevaluate. What's your prediction?
I'm with Shub on this. I'm with Shub because, like they said, I don't know what I was listening to. Maybe it was a coddling. They were saying it wasn't. It was homeboy that I sent you a little link to. He was saying most of the births aren't planned. Like,
wait, was this a dude that you said you like?
My man who I sent you to,
Oh, Kevin Samuel.
He said, he was like, most people don't plan to have these kids. So
this is true.
Yeah, this is true.
But
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know, man. I'm with Smith on this. I understand most people did not plan to have their kids, but this shutdown for this long is going to make a lot of people who don't have kids reassess whether or not they're going to have kids.
And those who do have kids, they might reassess and they might start planning.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I would agree with that if that people who already were planning on having kids, if this was like, if the situation was that people planned when things were good, what makes you think they're going to plan now that things are bad? The behavior is not going to change. If anything, I know a friend of mine who told me about how even during the quarantine, all right, like this dude, he lives a fast life. And he told me even during the quarantine, things like Backpage and Craigslist, they were still hoeing out here.
Yeah.
I thought Backpage was shut down.
And dudes are still going out there and fucking.
Yeah, because you got crazy motherfuckers that do what they want to do.
I put on a mask while I, put a mask on my face and a rubber on my dick and take my chances.
See, I'm
treating this shit like 85. I'm like, bitch, I need to see your COVID test.
Mm-hmm.
Well, bitch, I need to see your COVID test.
See, I don't think the numbers are going to go down because the people who are planning to have kids, those are the ones who are the responsible parents right now as far as making sure that their kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing for education.
Exactly.
Like Smith. Hold on, Smith. Smith, did you plan on having your daughter?
I forgot about 8 weeks back when we did this shit. I told y'all I planned on having my fucking
That's what
daughter.
I'm saying. So
yes.
that's what, and I'm saying that to say, they go, are you one of the parents that's not monitoring her school and not making sure she's doing what she's supposed to be doing?
Nigga, I'm different. I'm not those parents.
That's what I'm saying, because you're planning to do,
because you plan
to have a kid.
And this is why I want to tell you why I think it'll go down. Because the girl who already has 4 kids, like, yo, that shit was a lot. And I don't know if it's another pandemic. I don't want to have no more fucking kids. She's not trying to get up to 6, where she was trying to get so she get that motherfucking money she thought she was getting. That makes people lazy. Like, let's talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it goes down because motherfuckers, listen, look, motherfuckers is looking like, yo, I got 3 kids and this shit was a lot.
Exactly, or even just one.
I got one kid. Look, I got 1 kid, and this shit was a lot.
Exactly.
But your original statement was people who don't have kids are going to reevaluate it.
No,
that was me. That was me. That was me.
Exactly.
That's not what he said. That was me. That was me. But what Smith was saying, he was predicting that people are going to just have less kids. I said I was talking about the childless, and I agree with Smith. I think a lot of them. I think people in general are going to reassess this situation and think twice. Like people who looked at people who weren't prepared, to be out of school, to have their kids out of school, are going to look at the situation like, yo,
hell yeah.
I ain't trying to have that.
I agree. I think the people, to your
what
point,
if that shit happens again?
Smith, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I agree. The people who have kids already are saying like, yo, I'm not having no more. This was too much. I can't. This is too much with 1 kid. I'm not having that second.
I think even the people without kids are going to say the same thing.
I'm like,
all right, Black Zeus and Smith. Go ahead.
I'm gonna listen. Hold on. I'm gonna listen to Black Zeus, and then I'm out. I don't need to hear what Smith got to say.
Piece, Henry. I got 1 piece.
One piece. I concur with Henry. All right, because here's the reality. People during this shutdown, despite knowing that there's a disease, were still going out there and hooking up and hanging out and having parties. Obviously, intelligence doesn't fucking work. People who didn't have fucking money and got a stimulus check didn't say, I'm gonna save that stimulus check, put it to the side. They went and fucking shopped on Amazon. All right. People voted for Donald Trump. Okay. Like,
shout out to Amazon. We're trying to get an Amazon endorsement. Well, go ahead.
But here's the reality. You are giving. Here's the reality. You are giving way too much credit to the general public. The general public, does not think out their decisions, does not take accountability and responsible for their decisions. The general public acts without thinking and then expects the world to pity them, expects the world to compensate them, expects the world to take care of them. And then those who do not have that mindset and do better, they see as the wicked ones, the evil ones. Oh, he is doing well. He must be doing something wrong because I'm suffering. Jeff Bezos is making a whole shit ton of money, right? Because you motherfuckers spent it at his store. But it's like, the person who works for Jeff Bezos, packing boxes, needs to make a living wage. It's like, wait, what? Hold up. I didn't make that motherfucker's decision. Oh, she got pregnant. She got 4 kids. Somebody should be taking care of her and supporting her and her 4 kids. Wait, what? I didn't. I had 1 kid. I made that decision for myself. You know what I mean?
4 baby daddies need to.
But hold on. Can I say? All right, go ahead. I don't want to jump in front of Smith though. Go ahead.
Yeah, so wrapping it up. The whole thing is that if our society was a society of people who thought for themselves, made decisions that were well thought out and planned out, so forth and so on, then we wouldn't have any of these issues. We wouldn't have this conversation. But that's not the reality.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Smith.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, I agree with that, but I still think that we can't make a blanket statement for everybody, and I still think
no, it's not a matter of everybody. It's just the majority.
No, but I think there's a percentage that will still decide, and the majority might.
Yes, the ones that were already successful.
The majority might lean different, but I think people are still looking at the situation like, look, hold up. I need you to wear protection. Now, mind you, I'm not putting the alcohol and the drugs into this. I'm just putting I met you on Craigslist. I'm coming over fucking you. And, I forgot that I'm meeting you and we got to smoke and shit and drink first. And then we might make a fucking
Hey, Smith, stop telling your story, bro.
No, this is not my story. This ain't my story.
This is why I want to hang around for this, bro.
No, this is not my story. No. I'm done. Look, this is not my story. I'm just saying you might make a dumbass decision. First of all, I don't meet bitches on Craigslist. That's dumb as hell. I don't.
Oh, Backpage.
I do back. I only do Backpage.
I don't do Backpage either.
I do Tinder.
I don't use Craigslist.
I meet them
at a middle class motherfucker.
Only in the supermarket. Only the supermarket in church, goddamn it! Only the supermarket in church. I'm like, I don't even know this motherfucker. But yeah, no, I still think that. I still think, you know what? I don't want to have kids, or I do want to have kids. It's going to make you lean one way or the other.
All right. Well, this is what I think, and I know Henry. I just want to say this part before you bounce. The U.S. birth rate has been on the decline for the past decade and a half. And I'm saying, and there's reasons, there's articles, there's reasons for this. And I'm saying this pandemic, this shutdown has basically made even some women who was apprehensive about having kids say, you know what? Nah, I'm going to either not have them or definitely plan a lot better, which is going to cause a significant decline. What you about to say, Smith?
Because you're right with that. Because they're too emotional right now. Remember all this talk about the book. They're emotional and they don't want to have those kids because it's going to go into that decline. Yo, you hit it right on the head. That was a great way to sum up.
Like if you look at the U.S. birth rate, the U.S. birth rate has been on a decline.
I'm going to qualify that, right? I'm going to qualify that.
Wait, before you get off, Henry. Wait, one second, Cash. 1 second, Schubert. Henry about to get off, and I got to tell him this. I hope your Paul Bunyan ass gonna cut down some trees for me when you get off this motherfucking too, nigga. That's all. Because that motherfucking shirt is loud, bro. That shirt.
normally, if I was single, I would have had some wood for your girl. But I got some for you in the backyard if you need some. Y'all be.
Where's that flamethrower? Oh, that was.